All right, I will go ahead and begin. What we'll be covering in today's webinar is going to be the App One integration, kind of an overview of how it works and what we offer. We'll be covering the buyer's order print list and how to set that up, and we'll also be showing you our delivery calendar, something you can implement if not being used already. So we'll be covering those three features with the deal desking module. So I'll go ahead and begin. And the first thing we're going to show you here is the print docs options. So I'm going to open up any deal here. It really doesn't matter. But the purpose of this is to show you that you can have, as far as printing your paperwork out, if you go to the print docs button, you can see here that we have a list of documents or list of buttons that you can use on here. And these can be configured however you want. It's completely customizable. Now, this is across the board for the dealership, so you can't have custom buttons per user. But you see there's a variety of them on here. There's only 2 buttons that we dedicate, which is 11 and 12 here. Because of integrations, we kind of set those aside. If you're not going to be using any of our integrations like AGWS or App One, then you don't have to worry about that on there. So how to set that up is you're actually going to go like you normally would go into printing your documents. So you can see here I have various buttons already set up. Some of them are still defaulted to the original name, but some of them do have been relabeled. And there are certain documents that are tied to these buttons now. So when I actually click, for an example, on quote sheet, depending on the documents that I select, those are the ones that are going to automatically print. What this helps you do is it saves you a little bit of time of having to go into the print documents part of the system and selecting the documents individually, versus you can have these predetermined and select the button, and then from there it will allow you to print out the documents that are predetermined. So what I'm going to do is take you exactly where this setup happens. So if I go to File, and then I go to Print Docs, it's where you normally would go to print any type of documentation, but this is also where the setup screen is at. So you can see here in the very middle, we have our same buttons and our options as far as print doc buttons go. So you can actually do that from here as well. But if you want to make any modifications or changes to these, where you want to go is on the top right of your print docs where it says buyer's order print list. Okay, and once you click on that, and you can see here, now you can change them per company if you want, or you can make them across the board if you have multiple locations. But let's say, for an example here, I'm going to select Print Docs button 1, and you're going to see it's going to load the custom caption, and it's also going to show me here what documents I have selected to print out when I select that quote sheet button on the previous screen. So if you ever need to edit these once you set them up or add documents to it, you can. These buttons essentially can be custom to your needs. So you can have, let's say maybe there's certain forms that you need to have filled out for a cash deal versus a finance deal. You can have a button called, cash deal forms, and you can have all those forms selected. Now, one thing with this is, depending on how you currently print, you can have laser forms, and you may have some forms that are impact. Impact forms, the yellow, white, and pink copy type forms that you use the OGI data to print out. If you have those, I suggest you can still use the print docs button, but have those separated on a different button, because since you have to load that piece, that impact form into the printer and then hit print, it's kind of going back and forth. So I would say, divide them up and put your laser forms on one button and then your impact forms on the other is the best way. You could essentially have them all on one. You just have to know this, because the problem is if you have multiple on there, you have to know the sequence to know which form to load. So again, it's better to keep them separate. You don't have to, but suggestion and rule of thumb is keep those separated. This best works with any type of laser form, and nowadays more and more forms are being turned into laser. I know there's still some banks that require the impact forms, but you can have those in here as well. It's just better to have them separated, okay? So you can see here, you can select which forms you're going to select. Once you have your form, you can go on to the next document button. It says, do you want to save? You're going to select yes. And then you can see here, I have a buyer's guide and quote sheet. So again, the buyer's guide and laser and the quote sheet laser is on here for me to select. Once I hit this buyer's guide and quote sheet button, those are the forms that are going to print out for me in the laser format. Okay, so you can just continue to go on. So you see here, I have a couple that don't have any caption. So again, it's going to be blank, or it will just say the print docs button because there is no custom caption added to it. Okay, so you can modify those to your need on there. Okay, all the forms that are in these four blocks here are going to be the ones that when you select the buyer's order print list is the options that you're going to have to print out. If you don't see a form on here, you can hit active documents and you can check in this list here. It may have been deactivated or it may have been selected by mistake, but this is where you want to print or select the documents that you want to see visible in the background here in the quadrants, okay? And there's also this alt field. So going along with the print docs button, you can also do a print sequence. And you can see it's right here in the middle where I have my cursor. Enter the alternate name of the form to print a sequence. So you see here, some of these forms have an alt ID, like the buyer's order, it's BO. And that's the only one that does. But I can type in BO here and hit print sequence, and it's going to print those documents out. So if you have more than one, you would just use a comma. So BO, and then, let's say there was another alt ID, BO1, for an example, you would just continue to type those in. And where you do those alternate names at is, again, under the active documents, you see the buyer's order. So you would just, so let's do BO1 and just CC, save. And there you go. You see that's the other document I just added. So you can just continue to add your documents down here to print them out. Okay. And once you've made any custom changes to the verbiage, you're going to have to exit out of the deal and reload the deal again so the button numbers change. And that way you would be able to pull that information over correctly. Okay. Any questions that we may have on the buyer's order print list? You can answer via the chat, or if you have any questions, you can type them into the chat as well, and I can answer them at the end. But if not, I will continue on to the delivery calendar. Okay. One of the newer features, it's been available for about a year and a half now, but not every dealer knows about it or sees or has been able to see the use of it. But we do offer a delivery calendar, and it's a separate program, okay, that we add to the user's desktop once they request it. Let me close out of this deal real quick here. And this gives you the option to use the delivery calendar. You see here I have an icon. So we would add the icon to whoever's going to be using the delivery calendar or scheduling the deliveries of units. But I will open it up here so you can see a preview of it. And you can see I have one here already that shows me the deal, the name, the subject, its delivery, the stock number, the deal number, all of the information of the unit as well, like the VIN number and the unit information. So I would be able to see that, Jose Montero here has a delivery for from 11 to 3. So you can schedule out your deliveries. Now there is some setup involved, and I'll cover that. One of the things you have to do to the employee, and it's required in the employee setup, and I'm going to take you there now. Is under the employee setup, you have to mark that employee as a delivery specialist. Okay, you see here, this has to be checked because in the deal, it's going to know first on the calendar, it's going to add them as a calendar to the calendar as a delivery specialist on there. So you see that's why my name's on there right now. So again, in the employee file, you're going to have to look up that employee and any other employee that's going to be on the delivery calendar and make sure they're checked off as delivery specialist. Okay, that's the first step. Then from there, on the deal itself, okay, we will select the deal. I have one on here. Okay. There is, under the Personnel tab, okay, under the team leaders, you will have to add that employee and select them as the delivery specialist, okay? This will know what employee you're pushing over to the delivery calendar. So again, under team leaders, you would select the employee and make sure that they are selected as the delivery specialist. And the information that is going to push over is based on the delivery date here on the top right of the deal. So you see I have today's, or the 28th in here as the delivery date, okay? 2/28/19, and I have it as 1 p.m. So this is what's feeding our delivery calendars to know when to push it over. So from the deal, you're telling it who the personnel is, Jose Montero, and he's the delivery specialist, what date and time is going to be pushed over to the delivery calendar, okay? Now, once you have all that filled in and that the employees are set up correctly as far as delivery specialist, the deal has to hit a certain status. So one of the settings is, you see here, right now I have it under unit delivered. And if you look, I have sold on hold for title, unit delivered. Both of those, I have them marked as delivery calendar. So again, you have to hit that status, okay, in order for it to push into the delivery calendar. If not, it will not let you, it won't push it over basically. You'll have the information filled out, but it won't actually push over. So make sure that once you've changed the deal to that status, you've hit the save button, and that will permit it to push it over to the delivery calendar. One thing is, you don't want to have the delivery calendar open all the time because it does not auto refresh. You'll have to, you can have it minimized, but you have to close and go back in, or if you select toggle between dates, it'll update as well. Once the appointment has been pushed over to the delivery calendar, if you change or move the appointment to a different date or time, it will feed the deal. Same thing on the deal. If you change the date and time on the deal, it will move the appointment that's already on the calendar as well. So they kind of look at each other at that point going forward, okay? So it's important to know that. Now, the status is what's tied to know when to push it over to the delivery calendar. So if I go edit, modify, and I go to add modify statuses, there is a field in here that I can choose which one pushes to the delivery calendar. And typically you only have a few statuses that do that, really, like unit delivered or paperwork processed or something like that. One of the finalized step, like the reason it's usually on the unit delivered is because you want to set up the delivery appointment because it's already done and you're just waiting for the delivery date to hit. So again, under edit modify statuses, you want to make sure you select which status is going to trigger the system to push over the delivery calendar date and time and the employee, okay? And that's already a feature included with the software, so if you decide to go that route, we can set it up for you, and generally we'll do like another revised training with the personalized staff. But if somebody wants to see this webinar and see what that offers, they can go ahead and sign on. We can send them the link, or if they go to motilitysoftware.com, and then there's support training videos, or it's under the webinar links. So you will be able to access this webinar after today if somebody wants to re-see that delivery calendar process. But again, just communicate with our support team that you want to implement the delivery calendar, and they will communicate with the training department and get that set up and train your staff for that, okay? Okay, and the last part of our webinar, now this is my demo system, so I can't fully go into what it would normally go because I don't have the integration set up, but one of the things we do offer, and this is set up by our support team, is integration with App1. You see here we have send to AGWS. We actually have integration with both AGWS and App1, and they both work very similar. What will happen is for your credit applications through App1, there's a button that we would label called Send to App1. And obviously the information on the deal has to be filled in. But what will happen is once I send this to App1, the system will go through a process of sending over that deal information and will actually provide you with a link or you can go through your internet browser and log in directly to App One and see the information of the deal. Once you do all the changes on the deal, the system will actually populate a button here that says, just like pull from American Guardian, it would say pull from App One, or Wolters Kluwer, formerly known as that. And it will bring over the information just like here. So it's kind of an overview of something to show you that we have to offer. If that's something you would like to set up, it's already included with your package. So you would just have to, if you have App One already, you can communicate with our support team and they can set that up. Or if not, you would have to obviously sign up with App One and then communicate with us that you would like the integration to be set up and use it going forward. Okay. So again, it was just a couple of overviews of information that the system offers. I'd like to leave the mic open for any questions as far as what we covered. If not, thank you for joining us. You feel free to disconnect from the meeting. And again, this will be available on the website for you to rewatch or show going forward if you'd like to implement this and maybe show a manager or something that may interest them. And again, thank everyone for their time today.